then we go to the global switches tab and set maximum transparency levels to 20 to make it render faster. And we'll leave the rest of the settings by default. And I think this method is a more kind of an old school approach, but at the same time more pleasing to the eye. For more advanced settings, you're gonna need graphic editors. But even with the basic settings, we can edit our render pretty well. Hi everyone, welcome to Render.courses. In this video we're gonna prepare our interior for rendering in VRAY. And then we'll run the final render and do color correction. So if you're using Corona, make sure to watch another tutorial in which I'm doing the same in Corona Render. Alright, let's set up our scene for the final render. And we won't go deep into settings here. For more advanced settings, make sure to sign up for our training course. Hundreds of students have already completed our course and created these amazing exterior and interior renders. So I invite you to join us. The link is in the description. Okay, in this video, we're gonna set up basic settings in order to get a beautiful image. So first of all, in frame buffer, we should enable Sharpen blur setting. In Corona, it's running as a post process, and in VRAY, we need to activate it beforehand. So then we go to the global switches tab and set maximum transparency levels to 20 to make it render faster. And we'll leave the rest of the settings by default. And one more thing is that we can change image sampler from progressive to bucket. But this is totally optional. So with bucket mode, there will be squares running all over your image during rendering. And I think this method is a more kind of an old school approach, but at the same time more pleasing to the eye, you could say. Okay, so we've switched to bucket, and I'll leave the rest of the settings as they are. You can also set noise threshold to 0.05, but for better speed, let's leave it at 0.01. Okay, now we're ready to start the render. So we set Sharpen/blur to minimum and go ahead and render. And it started. You can see buckets running all over the screen. You can use your cursor to guide them and tell them where to render. And I'm gonna pause the video and come back to you after the render is complete. All right, it's done. It took 7 minutes, 43 seconds, which is good time. So let's compare our render with the reference. And they look pretty similar. But if we set up contrast, the render will look even more like the reference. We can change the exposure and sharpen parameters, as well as adjust the curves. So let's collapse 3D Max and open the reference to have it before our eyes. And we're gonna work in frame buffer. So let's close the windows that we don't need, and frame buffer will add a new layer. These are our curves. Next, in the master mode, we can create an S-shaped curve. S-shaped curve makes the image more contrasting. The upper part of the curve corresponds to bright areas in the render, and the lower parts correspond to darker areas. So we'll use the Bezier point to shift this part higher and this part a bit lower. And thus we've made the shadows in the render slightly darker, and the image has become more contrasting. Now, say we need to set up the shades of red. So by adjusting this red curve, we can add or remove the color, the red color in the shadows. Now, personally, I think that VRAY is harder to use, but no less functional than Corona. By using curves and VRAY, we can achieve a pretty good result. Okay, so let's change sharpen amount to make our image sharper. For more advanced settings, you're gonna need graphic editors. But even with the basic settings, we can edit our render pretty well. So here's our interior render that we've done from scratch. We made it in two renders, so that's Corona and VRAY. And that pretty much sums up this lesson. So thank you for watching. I invite you to join our comprehensive training course and also to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Bye!